And the second they put him on me, that's when I fell apart. I couldn't even hear what people were saying. I remember just holding him and being like, we really wanted you. Like, we really did. I remember I said Shema with him, and I just held him.
Hi, I'm Hannah from Dayinmyjewishlife. I grew up as the youngest of 8, surrounded by larger-than-life personalities, and in all of the noise, I often held my own voice back. But being the youngest also gave me a gift, the ability to listen and to take it all in. That shaped me into the person that I have become. Eventually, I was given the privilege of opening up my own Instagram platform, a space that pushed me to share my voice. I cannot even begin to tell you the countless ways that changed me as a person. And that's why I created this podcast, Dayinmyjewishlife, Unplugged. Here, we amplify voices that don't always get a mic. You're going to hear stories that are real, unpolished, and full of beautiful meaning. And my hope is that by listening, you're going to discover something that speaks to your journey. So join me here, where voices are heard, stories are honored, and every conversation has the power to leave you changed. In today's episode, I'm sitting with Shuli Knapp, who is an incredible human being. She went through one of life's hardest challenges that exist, giving birth to a stillborn. She takes us through the way that her grief manifests in her life, the way that she and her family navigated the painful situation. I'm in complete awe. I learned so much from Shuli. She is a woman who faced her pain head on after years and years of struggle. She is a true example of a fighter and a reminder that everybody has the strength inside of them to heal. Shuli, I'm in awe of you, and I'm so grateful and thankful that you came onto this platform and are sharing your story with the world. May this episode reach all the people that need to hear this beautiful message. Hello. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for opening your story for the world to hear. It's gonna be incredible, and I know that.
I know it too. I know your podcast I just felt so appropriate to come here because I was there for birth.
Yes.
For you. And it just feels so appropriate to bring that together.
Incredible. Okay, we have to unpack all of this because that was a lot in a sentence.
Yes.
You were there for my birth. I have such gorgeous memories of you. Wow, you were so there and present, and I would never ask for anything different for that birth. That you were just such a good energy in the room, a support for me. Thank you, first of all, publicly. Thank you. I'm going to take a moment and speak about one of our amazing sponsors, Lil Fashion Finds, Lil Fashion Finds. I am an avid follower because she posts the most amazing links on her Instagram and on her WhatsApp statuses, and on her WhatsApp group, she asks the moms, what are you looking for? Are you looking for pants, for socks, for winter gear, clothing for moms? She's got you. She's basically a personal shopper. She's finding the sales when all these amazing companies go on sale. She is the first one to find them, and she posts them. I'm going to be leaving the link to her WhatsApp in the show notes, as well as her Instagram, so feel free to follow her and join those groups. Now back to our episode. So you have quite a story.
Yes.
And before we even get into the story, I want people to get a picture of who you are, and I think that we are our story from the beginning. So if you can tell us your name, where you're from, your place in the family, a little bit about your childhood, and then we'll fast forward all these years to your story.
Yes. So my name is Shuli Knapp. I was born in California, and I'm the sixth in the family. And then my parents moved to Pittsburgh when I was 4 years old. In Pittsburgh, my parents had 3 more kids, and we were 10 altogether.
Wow. Big family.
Yes, a very big family. It was a very busy home, a very busy home. It was a lot. I hid a lot of myself growing up. I wasn't able to express myself a lot. I was just Shuli. Where's Shuli? You know, I'm here. You know, it wasn't like, I skipped a lot of school. I did not like school. I really didn't.
When there are so many kids, it's easy to just be Shuli and like hide in the background. Like there's so much to hide behind.
Yeah. And I escaped a lot. I escaped in watching videos all day. I literally would go to the library and rent videos and come home and watch them and go to sleep late and wake up and not want to go to school. Like I really wasn't in my body. I didn't know who I was. Like I knew there was this essence of me of like, I loved being with kids. I loved helping. I loved finding. I loved searching. I loved being with my friends. I loved connecting.
Wow. So it sounds like you, before your story even happened, there was a lot of pain and a lot of, you know, lack of true self. And
yes, 100%.
In your story, before your story.
Before my story, yeah.
So can we fast forward all those years? So I know some of your story. I don't know the full story, and I definitely don't know all the details. So I'm really looking forward to hearing straight from you and your whole process. But you got married.
I got married.
You had your daughter.
I had my daughter. So we got married in 2013, and I had my daughter in 2014. Her name's Rosa Khana. And it was great. All my friends used to tell me, Shuli doesn't need a husband, she just needs children. Like, I right away, when my mother came to visit after I had Rosa, she was like, Shuli, what am I doing here?
And you're like, what postpartum?
What? I was like, yeah, like I right away when I started nursing, it was hard a little bit, but I was like, I'm doing it. And I just, it felt so natural. It really felt natural.
What a blessing.
Yes. I did have some blues. There was a point where I was like, what am I feeling? Like I went to the doctor and they're like, are you postpartum depression? I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I have. But it was just a very soft, like, I don't want to exist. I want connection. I felt like I wanted connection. And I would like always go visit my family. Like I would leave. We lived in Montreal. And I would always, it was cold there.
Yeah.
And I always, and the place felt cold.
Yeah, I understand that.
And I would always want to leave and visit my family and get that connection again.
So you had some sadness and some longing for something different, but not like a debilitating postpartum.
Yeah.
And especially the beginning was easy for you.
Yeah.
So you had your daughter. How old was she when you became pregnant with your second?
She was 1.5 years. She was 1.5 years. I became pregnant. She was so excited.
Oh.
She was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a big sister. She was like a mini me. Like she loved babies. She was like full of life. She was such a special neshama. She really was. When she was, so that pregnancy actually, I had 4 weddings that year. 2 of my siblings got married and 2 of my husband's siblings got married. Yeah. And I had a belly. And actually the last wedding, my brother-in-law's wedding, I didn't end up going because it was in Australia and I was 9 months pregnant. But my brother was also they were each a week apart. I had my sister's wedding, I had my sister-in-law's wedding, and then a week apart was my sister's wedding.
Goodness.
And then a few months later was my brother-in-law's wedding, and then my brother's wedding.
So you were visibly showing you had a belly, and everybody knew you were pregnant.
Everyone knew I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And after my brother's wedding in New York, my husband didn't end up coming because he went to Australia for his brother's wedding, and he wasn't able to make it for my brother's wedding. I was not happy.
Yeah, I guess.
I was like, nope. Like, I kept calling him, like, can you just take a bus and come here? Like, he flew in the morning before, and he was like, I can't, my boss needs me. Like, it was really, really hard. I was 9 months pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Everything's heightened.
Everything. So I ended up, after the wedding, I went back home, and everything was good. Like, I was actually with the midwife center. With Rosa's birth, it was very traumatic. They ended up having to section her out. They did a episiotomy.
Wow.
And the recovery was really hard.
Yeah.
And the midwife center is connected to the hospital. And everything, all the boxes checked for me to be there with them. And I would go, I got all my tests, I had ultrasounds, like I wasn't, you know, I wasn't being, what's the word I'm looking for?
Unsafe.
Unsafe, yes. Like I knew what I was getting into going to the midwife center. It was Yotes Kislev, and
What a special day.
Mm-hmm.
Yotes
Really special
Kislev
day.
is a very big day in the Chabad sect. It's the start of the Chassidus that we learn, the studies that we learn. It was the beginning of it, or part of the beginning. So it's a very big day for us.
It's the Rosh Hashanah of Chassidus. It's the first
Exactly.
day that the light of the Torah was able to be revealed into this world. It's when the Alter Rebbe, Reb Shneir Zalman, was released from prison. And this releasing from prison was the allowance of the release of the light of the two Torahs, the written Torah and the oral Torah, for that light to be revealed into this world, for everyone to
Absorb it. Thank you.
So, Yotes Kislev, I went into labor, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what, like an
Look at
incredible
me.
day. This is a beautiful day. And this is the first time I was able to feel labor, because with Rosa, I was induced.
Yeah.
So it was like, I was feeling the waves, and I was like, wow, this is labor. This is incredible. And I was like enjoying it. I was like sitting on my couch. My cleaning lady came that day. Everything was clean. I was enjoying this labor. And then we went to bed that night. And in the 1 a.m., I was like, okay, I can't. Like, they're getting harder.
Mm-hmm.
And we called my brother-in-law to come over, and we drove to the midwife center. And we get in, and we get into a room.
And you were still feeling contractions all through this time?
Yeah.
Strong.
She checked on the baby. The baby's heartbeat was good. And it was like incredible. And I was like, I didn't feel like I was in labor, and I felt like I was in labor. And I was like, can you just check me? Like, with Rosa, I was like a 4 for forever. Mm-hmm. And I was like, just check me, because
You said you felt you were in labor and you didn't feel you were in
like
labor?
I was.
Like it stopped?
It didn't stop. I was able to handle it.
Got it.
So I was like, why am I able to handle it?
Uh-oh. Yeah.
I want to give a special mention to our partial sponsor of this episode. Thank you so much, Mimi Hecht. I'm sure many of you recognize her name. She runs a beautiful Instagram platform, Mimi Hecht, where she shares beautiful, raw content about womanhood. She's always got something on her mind, and it's beautiful to see and to hear. Thank you, thank you. Mimi wanted to support having vulnerable conversations about motherhood and loss.
And I called her. I'm like, can you just check me, because I want to go home. Like, I go home and bring my daughter to school, like, and come back if I'm
you're
like
crazy.
Yeah. And she checked me. She's like, you're 5. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting somewhere. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm staying. So my husband ended up going home, and he brought her. It was like earlier in the morning. It was like 7 o'clock. He brought her to the the hospital, not the hospital, whoa. He brought her to school, and he came back. He came back with breakfast, and they would come in every 15, 20 minutes to check on the heart rate. Everything was fine. Around 9:30, I would say, 9:30-ish, 9:45 a.m., I felt a jolt. I didn't know what this jolt was. I just felt a jolt. They came like 5 minutes after, and they were looking for a heartbeat. And they're like, did you feel a movement? I'm like, yeah, I literally just felt movement. And they were looking, and they were looking. They couldn't find a heartbeat.
Oh my gosh.
And they right away, they called 911. The hospital's right next door. They're like preparing me. They're like, okay, we're gonna go to the hospital. We're gonna check with an ultrasound. And
Did they look nervous? Like, were you sensing that something was terribly wrong? Or not yet?
I was in a state of the baby's still inside me. The baby's alive.
It didn't cross your mind that like
it crossed my mind, but I wasn't. I didn't accept it yet.
You were like,
It wasn't like I was like. I wrote on all my chats. I was like, daven for me, daven. Like I was like, say to him, everything's gonna be fine. Like
we're gonna come home in a few days.
Yeah. Okay. I remember being like, everything's fine. Like why wouldn't it be fine? Like I was like, we're gonna go to the hospital and they're gonna do ultrasound and he's probably hiding. You know, like
yeah.
That was in my thoughts. But I remember she looked at me and she's like, I just want you to know that if we go and we don't find a heartbeat, then that means he's not alive anymore.
No way.
And I was like, I know.
Really?
Yeah.
You knew.
I was like, I knew that was a possibility, but I hadn't accepted it. I was extremely calm. Extremely calm. We get in the ambulance. We drive to the hospital. Right away, they had an ultrasound. There was no heartbeat.
Oh my gosh, Shuli.
And I remember just sitting there. My midwife was there, and she was holding my hand. And I looked at her, and I was like, this is not your fault. I remember, like, those words. Like, I don't know where that strength came from. But I remember she needed to hear that. Like, she needed to hear that it wasn't her fault.
My gosh.
And it wasn't my fault either. Like, I remember being like, this is what Hashem planned.
In that moment.
And the doctors, they looked for the heartbeat, they didn't find it. And they're like, hey, we're gonna leave you alone. And they left, and I was sitting there, I was like, me and my husband, I just looked at him like, I don't want to cry. Like, I wasn't ready to cry yet. I was like, the baby's still inside me. I still feel connected to it.
Wow. Do you think that was a form of you protecting yourself from feeling?
100%.
Because that is way too much to feel with the baby inside of you. So, like, to me, it sounds like your conscious self, like your brain was like, no, the baby's still in your body. And even the fact that you were outside of your body enough to notice other people's feelings, to comment and help her,
Oh yeah.
stay strong, like.
Oh yeah. And I remember being like, saying like, I want to hold the baby still. Like, I was very conscious, knowing like, I want to hold the baby. I want to like sit with it. I want pictures of the baby. I was there intellectually.
Okay. Wow.
And they left us, and they came back, and they put me on
What a nightmare.
Pitocin because the labor had stopped by then, and I gave birth to death.
Oh my gosh.
I literally gave birth to death. And the second they put him on me, that's when I fell apart. I literally, like, I couldn't even hear what people were saying. I remember just holding him and being like, we really wanted you. Like, we really did.
Wow.
I remember I said Shema with him. And I just held him. I held him for about 2 hours. It was about 2 hours I held him.
Was he cold or like still warm?
So in the beginning he was warm, and then he started turning blue. They're not,
Gosh. What a moment.
Yeah.
I actually can't wrap my mind around that. Like, handing you a dead baby to hold, like, that you carried for 9 months.
yeah.
That you wanted so badly, that you were going to bring home to your daughter.
Yeah. That was probably one of the hardest things for me, was that my daughter was going to have to wait to be a big sister.
How did you break the news to her?
So this is where a lot of regret comes in, because the people that were around me, I went through grief myself, and I didn't know how to be there for her. I didn't know how to explain to her what happened, and there was no one guiding me to be like, tell her what happened. And I remember people were like, just tell her you're sad. And that's
she was expecting the baby.
Right? She was expecting a baby. She was expecting a sibling. And I'm sitting there on the couch crying, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, Mommy's just sad right now.
Mm-hmm. But she didn't know that the baby didn't come home.
No.
Was she asking about the baby?
She did not ask about the baby, because I don't feel like she knew how to. She was 2 years old. She was 2 years old. How is she supposed to know to ask?
Yeah. Wow. So I want to pause you here for a second, because you said this is a moment that you would have done differently. And I hate to word it like that, because this is your journey. This is a part of who you are. This is a part of who Rosa Chana is.
Yes.
And it's a part of your whole family's story. This is exactly how it was meant to play out. And Hashem put everything in place so that it would play out like this.
Yes.
And you have a message to share with the world for moms that please, God, never again. Don't ever do that.
Don't ever.
But loss and grief, how do you recommend families and parents break news to their kids, their young little ones who are 2, 1, 5, 6?
Tell them. Tell them straight out. Tell them. Tell them, Mommy had a baby in her belly, and Hashem had another plan. The baby died, and he's always with us spiritually. He's here. You could always talk to him, but he's not going to coming home with us. He's not going to be in our house.
As much as you can, explain it to them.
Explain it to them.
To the level that they can understand.
Yes.
As much as you
Yes.
can. Okay.
And explain it to them in also a way of, Mommy feels sad,
Mm-hmm.
and you're allowed to feel sad too. It's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Yes.
And create, the intellect should be intertwined with the emotions. The emotions need to be felt. They need to be motioned out. They need to be movement. They need to come out. My daughter, Rosa, she actually developed tics.
No.
Since that happened. She started picking at her face and making herself bleed.
At 2.
At 2.5. Oh. And I was sitting there, I'm like, Rosa,
sorry.
what are you doing? What are you doing? And I would have to put Band-Aids on her cheeks, and it only came to me, I would say, I was like, oh, maybe that's her way of
Grieving,
but I didn't know how to get that out of her, because I didn't know how to move it out from me.
Wow.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah. So let's go back to you.
In the hospital.
Shuli. So you came home without your baby. When the baby was inside of you and you knew that you knew intellectually that the baby was not going to come out alive, you were like strong in denial, this like,
Yes.
Then it hit you and they put the baby on your chest.
Yeah.
And you came home. Do you remember that day, like walking into your
yes.
house? How could you forget that?
I walked in. So it was Yotes Kislev, we went into labor. Chaf, the heartbeat stopped, and I delivered Chaf Aleph.
Mm-hmm. So that's 19, 20, 21 of the Hebrew month of Kislev.
Yeah. And it was also in the English state.
Really? It lined up that year?
One date off, because
Wow.
we came home on the December 20th.
Wow.
So December 20th, I walked in. And it was before my daughter came home from school. She came home. There was dinner. People were making us dinners. It was really nice. My parents were coming the next day after that. And so it was just me, my husband, and Rosa at home. And we made it feel like it was any other day. Like, okay, Rosa, you're going to school tomorrow. You're going to bed now. We put her to bed. We sang her songs. And then after, we sat on the couch, me and my husband, and we just started falling apart. Literally falling apart.
Finally.
And there was one thing that really got to me was that it is our custom that the Chaver Kadisha, the people who bury the dead, name the baby. They name
Wow.
the baby after a malach.
A malach is an angel.
An angel. And I remember sitting there. There was someone on the council that didn't know that was our custom, and he was like, "What do they want to name him?"
Mm-hmm.
And my husband sat down and he's like, "What do we want to name him?" And I looked at him and I said, "I don't want to name him. He's not my child. He's Hashem's child. Why do I need to be in charge of this?" Like, I felt so like disconnected in that sense of like, this is not my job.
Do you think that was, in retrospect, was that anger?
I think it was acceptance in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really was. It was accepting that this child was not mine. And not just that, every child is not mine. Every child is Hashem's child.
Wow.
And then I told my husband, I said, call our Rav, because something doesn't feel right. I don't want to name this child. And he called the Rav, and the Rav was like, no, you're not supposed to name the child.
You had this intuition.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like, no.
Do you know what the reason is? Because that sounds... What if somebody does feel that connection to the dead baby and wants a part in it?
They can. That's the gift of life. The gift of life and death is that every single person does what they feel is right for them. Because
with the guidance
at the same time, but it's a very sensitive field.
Mm-hmm.
And the rabbis are very sensitive around it as well.
Yeah. So if somebody does feel that connection, everyone's going to talk about grief. Like, everyone's going to experience it. There's no 10, 20, 50,000 million ways to deal with it. It's endless.
Yeah.
So that's good to know. That's special.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So those weeks after this unspeakable tragedy, in that moment.
That night. So that was
your epiphany.
No. It gets even better.
Wow.
That night, I was laying in bed. It was December 20th.
Uh-huh.
It was the longest night of the year, and it was a lunar eclipse. It was the longest night of the year, and it was the darkest night of the year. And my sister-in-law sent a text.
How did you know that?
Wait. My sister-in-law sent a text. And in the text it said, tonight's December 20th. It's the longest night of the year. It's the darkest night of the year. Yet we know in Tanya, which is the book that Alter Rebbe wrote with Chassidus, it's of Chassidus, the hidden light of the Torah. And in it writes, Ki yitroch ha'or min ha'choshech, that after darkness comes light. And I read that. And right before I went to bed, that was the last thing I read. And I remember telling myself, I'm going to see the light. I'm going to see the light.
That was brave of her to say that to you.
And this is one thing I wanted to do. I felt like I was a sponge after. I felt like everything I saw, everything I heard, everything that happened, I was like, this is medicine from Hashem. I saw that year my grandfather passed away. And I was very close with my grandfather.
How much can one person handle in a year?
Right. And when I went to see my father, I said Shiva, and how we just comforted each other with stories and just being there for each other, I realized that's what I had to do. That's what I had to do to become okay. Because that's how Hashem sends comfort. Hashem sends comfort through connection.
Human connection.
Human connection.
Big. Yeah.
So everything I wrote, every text someone sent, I would answer them and I would say, thank you. Like, thank you for seeing me.
Did you feel that you had that human connection and people reaching out and offering their presence?
Yes.
Oh, thank God.
Yes.
Good. Kudos to all those people in your life, because not everyone knows to do that.
Yeah.
People assume that you need space and want time when it's actually the opposite. Even if your answer is no, not right now, like, offer. Yeah. Offer connection.
It's the one thing I learned from this experience of not being afraid of death. And when someone goes through grief, all that person wants is to be seen. It could be, hey, I'm thinking of you.
Even if they don't know it.
Even if they don't know it.
Yeah.
They want it. They want to be seen. It might not be right now that they want to be seen, but to actually know that they're being seen helps a little bit.
How did you get through that year? Like, what are things that pushed you through? And were you depressed? How did you experience that year?
So that year, like I said, I was a sponge. The next morning I woke up and my parents came home, and they expected to see, their daughter tearful eyes and falling apart. And they walked in, I'm like, hi.
No.
I was like, hi, Ma, hi, Da. And I was already starting to feel that light, that warmth.
From the text the night before?
From the text the night before. And I started to remember the things I learned as a child in high school. My graduation speech, I spoke about joy. And I spoke about how when the Rebbe became Rebbe, it was a few years after the Holocaust. And the Rebbe didn't come up and say, oh, like, we should be sad. He came up and he said, Basi Lagani, this is Hashem's garden. We all need to see Hashem's garden in this world.
It's not a world full of darkness.
It's not a world full of darkness. And I remembered that during this time of grieving. And I was like, whoa, my past self was medicine for my future self. Like that little part, like I
planted seeds.
Planted seeds.
Wow.
And each thing someone would come and say, I would like soak it in. And I wrote a whole thing of how I was finding the comfort through this. And I sent it out to everyone. Because that was one thing. One thing I didn't like was that people were perceiving me as someone who was in a state of like
denial.
Not denial, of loss, like sadness. Like personality-wise, I love seeing the positive side of everything. And I was in a state of being like, I am accepting this because Hashem put me on this path.
So you didn't like when people saw you as like Shuli, the one who lost her son.
Yeah.
You were like, no, I'm ready to be the light. But I have a question for you. Like, this has been burning at the forefront of my mind
100%.
ever since you said, like, I woke up the next morning and there was this light. Like, how? That is very different from the way that most people experience grief. You know, even according to Tyra, maybe it's different with a stillborn. But according to Tyra, you have the 7 days of, you know.
Yeah.
I know you didn't have that.
No.
And then a year of Avelos, a year of mourning, and they actually encourage the person that, like, you must go into that state of mourning to feel your pain and to be in the grief so that you can propel forward. How did you do that so fast? And would you recommend others to do it that fast?
So I wouldn't say I was, like, the grief went away. I would say the grief settled inside of me because I didn't know how to deal with it.
So it wasn't got it.
It wasn't gone. It just sat inside. It sat in my lungs. Lungs is what holds sadness and grief. Intellectually, I was okay. Mm-hmm. Intellectually, I understood where I was and who I was. Oh, no, not yet. I did not know who I was yet.
But you were in an intellectual calm state.
Yes.
But the grief was deep, deep in your body and buried itself because you couldn't express it?
I couldn't express it.
Okay.
I didn't know how to express it. I didn't have anyone to hold that expression for me.
Mm-hmm. So you went to power. You went to, like, being a leader, basically.
Yes. Being strong. Shuli's so strong.
Wow.
Like, that's all I heard. Shuli's so strong.
And you were like, yeah, I am.
Yeah, I'm so strong.
What's grief?
I just lost a baby, you know? I'm fine.
Wow. Okay, so it was a facade and you hadn't yet unpacked your grief.
Yeah.
That was the confusion for me. I'm like, what? What is going on here? How did she do that?
I completely lost who I was inside because I was holding so much grief, didn't know where to put it.
Can we turn to the people who have experienced grief or maybe right at the beginning of their grief or haven't yet dealt with it? What would you tell people to do so that they don't become the superhero in the situation? Like, exactly what you did, bury it down and just go to something else. Like, how do you express grief? How do you vocalize it? What would you have done different? I don't like that sentence.
No, I don't think I would have done anything different because...
What would you advise other people to do is a better way to phrase that.
Reach out. Reach out, allow yourself to feel. There's so many organizations here, so many lost organizations here that are there a phone call away. And this is what happened when I got pregnant again. I was never someone who experienced anxiety. I was having full-blown panic attacks.
Yeah, you were.
I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. I was crying all day.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember calling my mom and being like,
what's wrong with me?
What's happening? And she's like, Shuli, I think you're having PTSD. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm having. I literally was like, I wasn't connecting to my pregnancy after that. And she got a hold of an organization. And you know who was my person to talk to?
Who?
I used to have a baby.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, what's her name?
I don't remember. I'm terrible at names, but
Me
I know who
too.
you're talking about.
She was my person that I would call and be like, I don't want to go out right now. So don't. I was very newly pregnant. It was my sister-in-law had a boy, and it was her bris. And I was like 4 months. I wasn't showing yet. And I like put a really big shirt on. She's like, you don't have to talk to anyone. And she just was like my guide. And I remember going to the bris, and I just did it. I went there, and I left. And I texted her. I'm like, I did it. I went to the bris. I went out of the house.
So you had this lifeline up. You were reaching out. You
Yeah.
were reaching out for human connection.
Yeah.
To ground you.
Yeah.
Good on you. I'm always so impressed at people who are able to reach out.
Well, it was my mom.
Yeah.
My
But you
mom
had to make those calls and those texts.
She was like, I'm going to find you someone because you cannot do this. You need to sleep at night.
Yeah.
You need to have someone who knows what you're going through.
Mm-hmm. Was there a point in your life that the grief came out properly?
Yeah. Well, let's fast forward. Do
Go
you want to
ahead.
fast forward?
Go ahead.
So my son, I gave birth, Tessa Dar Aleph, to my son, Tovia. Should I mention the story?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
It was actually 3 months after I had the loss. I call him my malach,
Your angel.
my angel. It was Shisham Purim. And
So you became pregnant 3 months after your loss.
no. This was
The anniversary of the loss.
I came pregnant 2 years after. Like a year and a half after I became pregnant again. The year that I had my loss, 3 months after,
Oh,
it was Shisham Purim night, and it was after Purim. I remember we dressed up as bees, and I was like, "Be happy."
There she goes.
Looking back, I'm like, I was so in denial. Just bottling up my grief.
Well, that coping mechanism
was a
allowed
coping
you to get through life at that time, allowed you to survive.
Yeah.
So, thank you, denial.
Thank you.
Be happy, Shuli.
Be happy. Everyone be happy.
Okay, in retrospect, that's funny.
Yeah. And I went to bed. It was 1 a.m. in the morning. It was after, like, there was Purim, Shisham Purim, cleaning everything up. And it was like 1 a.m. and I'm laying down to go to sleep, and I'm not tired. I'm like, well, I should be exhausted right now. And I close my eyes, and I see this bright light.
Were you sleeping?
No. And I open it, and I'm like, it's pitch black. What's going on? And I close my eyes again, and I hear, "Hi, Mommy. Hi, Mommy." And I was like, say it again. What? And as he was saying, "Hi, Mommy," he was coming down from the light on this animal. And after the fact, I realized it was the animal that's on the kisei covered.
No way.
Because the animal on the kisei covered is the head of a lion. It's different feet, it's a bunch of animals morphed into one. And this was the animal he was on.
No.
It was the head of a lion.
And you didn't know what it looked like at the time?
I didn't know.
Only
And he was sitting.
special souls experience this.
He was sitting on it with his back toward me. And I was like, hi. I was like, I love you. And he's like, I love you too. And he was like, good things are coming. And I was like, the light was so calm and peaceful. And I told him, I said, you need to go back up because I want to come with you. And he's like, it's not your time. Rosa needs you. And I raised him back up with my eyes. And then the light disappeared, but I still heard him. And he's like, I'm right here. I'm right near Hashem. It was something I always did. I always talked to him. I'm like, I still do. I'm like, I'm your mother, but you're taking care of me. Because you're right there. Like, you're straight right next to Hashem. And I would talk to him all the time, be like, do this for me.
From that moment?
It was before then. So it was like when he came down, I was like, you're listening to me. You hear me.
Wow, that was like when it clicked, like, oh my gosh, this is 2A.
Yeah.
That was your confirmation.
Yeah.
What a beautiful, crazy, wild story.
And then my son was born, Tas Adar Aleph. And his bris was the day after Shisham Purim, which was the day of my dream.
Wow.
And what did he say? He said, good things are coming.
So his bris was on the same exact date that you had the dream how many years prior?
2 years later.
Wow.
2 years before. And we named him Tovia.
Oh my goodness. Tov, good.
Good from Hashem.
Right.
And Tovia Hirsch. Hirsch is my grandfather.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, a year and a half later, I got pregnant again. And that birth was a C-section. And that's when my body was invaded, and that's when I didn't know. That's when I fell apart.
Interesting.
Because my body was cut open, and it was like, okay, I was cut open. Now you have to deal with me. You have to deal with what's in my body.
Wow. So you're saying, looking back, that's when you fell apart, and like later in your healing, you realize that that's why you fell apart.
Yeah.
That you're, wow.
And his name is Shalom Leib, which is a peaceful lion. Mm-hmm. And I only connected it to the dream because it was a peaceful light, and it was the head of a lion that came down. And I was like, that's Mashiach times. Mashiach times is going to be peaceful lions.
Beautiful.
So he was born. I had a C-section.
And then all the grief came out.
It didn't come out yet. I was still very... I remember feeling so triggered all the time. Like, all the time. We decided we were going to move to Florida. Move down to Florida. So I had to go back to work so we could save up some money. I sent my baby to daycare. I went to work. And I got so triggered with the kids. Because they're children. They're emotional beings. They're feeling their emotions. And I would sit there and I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to deal with their emotions. Or I didn't know how to deal with my own. And there was one director there.
Bliss right there.
Yeah. There was a director there that would give us workshops about emotions. And I was like, I like this. I like this. I'm starting to understand how to label my emotions. I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. And she would come into the classroom and I would get triggered. And she would come in and she'd be like, hey, just look at the child for who he is. You're getting triggered because it's in you. And you haven't dealt with it. And I would look at myself, be like, okay. And I would go back to the child and I would be like, are you feeling upset about this? And I would process it with him. Watching me do that to them, I was starting to able to understand how to do it to myself.
Wow.
I would start to be like, okay, I'm feeling this. How do I process it? How do I integrate it?
Children are such a gift to the world in healing ourselves.
Yeah. And I started raising my shalom with this type of parenting of, he would cry and be like, you're sad? Yeah, you're sad because you really want to eat right now and mommy's busy. And I see you. And I'm going to be there in a minute. He's my most grounded child. Like, he's crying. I address the emotion. He's fine a second later. Like, he just needs that emotion to flow through him. And he's good.
Well, because that's as it's meant to be.
That's how it's meant to be. That's the natural nurture of the neshama. The neshama needs to release all this schmutz out in order to really be revealed.
Hashem also physically created our bodies that way, that if you allow yourself to feel an emotion, the tears are going to come out. Those holy, beautiful tears are going to emote.
Yes.
We should mirror that. Let it, obviously, there are lines. If a child's hurting, if an adult is hurting in whatever way, hurting somebody else, that's different. But to express an emotion, allow an emotion to be acknowledged.
Yeah. They say emotions is energy in motion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's what it is.
I love that one.
So we ended up moving down to Florida. I was lost. I was a lost person in Montreal. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know. I knew there was something more in my life that I needed to do. I needed to integrate the light that I planted all those years ago into my life. And I knew I had to get out of Montreal. I knew I had to get out of there. And we moved down to Florida. And my sisters were talking about breath work. And I was like, I want to do breath work. I want to do that. And I went, it literally was like, we moved in August, September, I did my first breath work. Let me tell you, girl.
Breath work
the
is crazy.
loss and grief that was holding in my lungs, I couldn't even breathe. I was laying down. She's like, everyone breathe in. I'm like, I can't. I literally was like, come help me. I literally couldn't breathe. I felt like I was going to die because I couldn't take a deep breath in. My lungs were filled. She came, she pushed on my sternum.
She put her hand.
She put my hand on my sternum. She pushed down. The amount of tears that came out of my eyes that night. I was finally allowing myself to feel the grief and the loss.
It never leaves our body until we acknowledge it. Shuli, that's crazy. So it was that night.
It was that night. And also, I couldn't breathe properly in both pregnancies, and I wasn't able to take deep breaths. I would lose the breath. I couldn't get deep, and I would have to yawn in order for me to get deep breath in. Until that night of my first breath work, I finally was able to take deep breaths after that. And that was just the beginning. That was just the beginning of my journey.
Breath work is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
So what are what did you do? Like, okay, you realized this grief is in my lungs, this grief is in my body, and it needs to come out. Like, if you were to give us a condensed version, because I know that you have been through the healing journey, but if you can sum it up in a few sentences, like, what was it that helped you? I want to make this practical for people who acknowledge that they have grief, and then there are other steps to do, and I know it's different for other people, but your story might resonate with some people. Your specific journey might help others access theirs. So if you can give us a condensed version of your healing journey, if that's possible.
Allowing yourself to surrender to it. Allowing yourself to surrender to the darkness. You need to surrender to the darkness in order for it to be transformed into light. Every time I would do a different modality, I would sit with myself and say, I am safe. I'm allowing myself to see what I need to release.
Because there's pushback from the body. I've experienced this before with breath work, that like I almost sometimes, I don't go that often, but I sometimes feel my body being like, oh no, it's so heavy, like it's so hard, it's hard. The feelings that you're going to feel, and also the bodily sensations when you get in that breath work pattern, your body tightens, you feel like, some people clench, some people feel, what's the word, in your fingertips when it gets numb.
Yeah, numb.
The numbness. There's this resistance because your body's like, too dark, too much, too painful.
So I actually attended a breath work where the woman was like, if you feel it, move it. Move it.
Tell me more. Yeah.
Her breath work, I literally was crawling on the floor.
Physically move your body.
Physically move your body, get up, but still do the breathing. And I went on an insane journey that night.
Wow. And by the way, you don't need to go to somewhere to do breath work. Like, go to YouTube and follow a breath pattern. It is just so healing for the body. It gets you in your head, but out of your head.
Yeah.
It's such a tool.
Yeah.
Such a tool.
A big thing that also helped me was connecting to the month. Rosh Hashanah is a woman's mitzvah. It's a woman's gift to herself.
Rosh Hashanah?
Not Rosh Hashanah.
Rosh Chodesh.
Rosh Chodesh.
The beginning of a month.
Yeah. Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the month, is a woman's gift. Learn about the month that month. Learn about the energies of that month. And connect to it in a way that you are able to have the power that month. Personalize it. And the power, and know that Hashem is with you every step of the day, every step of the month.
Where can people learn about the month?
So I actually read Rav Dov Ber Pinson's books. Mm-hmm. It's the Spiral of Time series. And I started in Tammuz. I actually started 2 years ago. There was Tamar Berkowitz would have cacao ceremonies in the House of Moore, and she would talk about the month, and I connected to it so deeply. Like, every month there's a body part, there's a sense, there's the permutation of Hashem's name. Everything she would say, I was like, wow, like, yes.
Beautiful.
And then I bought myself the book, and I started learning it in Tammuz. And I started teaching it. I started creating women's circles.
Beautiful.
And putting my own twist on it. And putting my own twist on it so people could actually integrate it into their month.
Mm-hmm. Into their life.
Into their life.
Wow. Which is the whole point of learning, which is the whole point of, why the Torah is out there, so that we can take it and utilize it.
Yeah.
If it's just plain text and you don't connect to that text, your work is not done. And, this is what it says in the beginning of the Tanya, which is talk about Yotes Kislev, which is the Alter Rebbe's Sefer, Alter Rebbe's book. It says that if you need a mentor. You're not, the average person is not going to be able to read the words of the Tanya and be like, yes, each human being has their own path, their own individual path within Tanya. And to the people who know a lot, do not cover your mouth.
Yeah.
Don't be humble. This isn't humble, it's a sin. Go and help other people access their path within the teachings of the Torah. So I'm so impressed that you do that work. Exactly. Know Aleph, teach Aleph, and it's our job to access it. We can't just sit back and, expect to be inspired by Torah, expect to be already tapped into the months. Each month holds so much power. So you did it. You're doing it.
I'm doing it.
It's an active work.
It is an active work, and I'm so in tuned now with myself that the second I see a cycle come, I even tell my husband sometimes, I'm like, I know I'm acting really rude. Mm-hmm. I'm just processing something, okay? I love you still. It's not about you, it's me. I'm at that state where I'm able to hear what voice is mine and what voice is someone else's.
What a gift.
And I take that voice away and I look at mine. I'm like, who am I? I'm light. That's who I am.
Mm-hmm. How can I work through this?
How can I work through it?
Wow.
And not just that, it's ever since I opened up that box.
Ever since that night of breath work.
Yes. I started to heal parts of myself I didn't even know needed healing. So much.
But during that time, were you and are you able to still be in your present life? It's a maybe a taboo topic, but not in my brain, that some people, when they're going through their healing journey, sometimes get so lost in the healing that they become a shell of a person because they're so in their mess that they neglect their day-to-day presence.
So there were certain modalities that I've done that put me in that state. Through integration, I was able to come out of that state. I went to therapy. I did energy healing. You have to have the support system
To bring you back.
That
is so important.
Yes.
Though.
Yes, 100%. And as well as know what you can handle. Don't step into it if you have a voice telling you don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't. Your intuition is the most powerful thing to listen to.
Yeah.
If you hear a little no, it's a no.
Not
if it's
yet,
a maybe,
and no.
it's a no.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be a clear
those
yes.
journeys are not for. It's not for everybody.
Some people, they're able to live day by day and not have to go into the darkness.
Shuli, I'm wowed by you. Your story there are so many pieces of your story to learn from, and I'm just so impressed at you as a human being, and you went into the thick of it, and for many years I know you didn't, and then you did.
Yeah.
And you are doing the work, and I know it's hard, and it shows. It shows. Can you leave us with a message to moms, to people who have grieved, people who have pain in their bodies sitting?
Just talk to Hashem. Talk to Hashem. The bad, the ugly, the good. Really, really, request from Hashem everything you want, everything you need.
Don't hold back.
Don't hold back. Don't. It actually, this month, the sign is a bow and arrow. And also, it's the month that the rainbow was first shown to Noach, because Kislev, it was 40 days of rain and night, and that Kislev, it went into Cheshvan, it went into Kislev, and the rainbow was shown in this month. And the rainbow...
In the month of Cheshvan.
In the month of Kislev, the rainbow was shown. The rainbow is a reflection. What we reflect back to Hashem comes back to us. We reflect to Hashem goodness and light. We're going to get back goodness and light. The shape of our hands when we cover our heart is a rainbow. Do you see that? Mm-hmm. It's a rainbow. Mm-hmm. It's a half a circle because the other half of the circle is supposed to be Hashem.
Wow.
And the bow and arrow, when we pull back...
So to clarify, Cheshvan is bow and arrow?
No.
Kislev is rainbow?
No, Kislev is a bow and arrow, but as well as the word also could be
Got it.
rainbow.
Okay. Yes.
So when you pull back with a bow and arrow, and the harder you pull back, the farther it's going to go. So the harder you daven and the harder you request from Hashem from the bottom of your heart with lots and lots of kavanah, which is intention, pure intention, the farther it's going to go to Hashem. Like, it's going to fly to Him. Mm-hmm. Also, a big thing, connect to the Rebbe. Connect to any Rebbe you have.
Any tzaddik.
Any tzaddik. They're
Can you
there in this
explain
world.
a bit what a tzaddik is for people who don't know?
A tzaddik is a leader of our time. There's different sects in Judaism where there's different leaders.
A leader who's spiritually connected on high, like to no end, as one of those souls who are put into this world to have other people learn from and connect to and gain strength from. I fully agree with you.
I've written so many times to the Rebbe and have gotten clear answers that have grounded me back on my path.
I love to end off with this because it's like you need to do the work to connect to God. You need to emote. You need to do something down here if you want that arrow to fly forward
100%.
and for that other half to make the full circle. Thank you, Shuli, for coming on here. Thank you for sharing. This is going to impact thousands and thousands of people. So thank you.
Amen. And reach out.
Yeah.
Reach out.
Oh, yes.
I'm on Instagram. Send me texts.